today, they definitely knocked down pin number one. And that was that essentially that Google search, the timestamp related to these searches happened at the time the tab was opened. And actually, Michael, I learned something today. And I've been dealing with Cellbrite since I became a lawyer back in 2006. And that is that the experts that are evaluating the Cellbrite reports have to go into the raw data into the phone. And that is the first time I've ever heard such a thing in almost 20 years of practicing, that is essential. And I learned because if one just looked at the Cellbrite, and before the changes, by the way, I thought that was objectionable. It's almost like the remedial actions show that something was wrong, right? That it's prohibited in civil law. But that Cellbrite goes and changes their framework, puts out a release that they are no longer adding timestamps to those particular artifacts. And that was what was done today by an expert. She clearly knew her stuff. And the cross-examination was back and forth, and the cross-examiner really didn't know the science as good as the expert, and that really came out today. I mean, she was a director of the competitor company of Cellbrite. She brought the understanding, and I would, check that box a little bit more if she didn't show me that she was the expert. One of my pet peeves, honestly, from watching today was the inauthentic back and forth between them. Like, thank you so much for answering my questions, or thank you so much for asking these questions. Like, I heard that, I almost wanted to blah and ick. And it's almost distracting. And I think maybe that's the point of the cross, is to be as distracting as possible, because if the Commonwealth can prove that that tab was opened at 2:27, and that's what that timestamp means, it really takes a lot of steam out of the defense's arguments. Super important. It's the smoking search. Smoking gun. It really does, Michael. Let's think about this. If Jennifer McCabe Googled "house long to die in the cold" at 2:27, there would be no other explanation that she knew something about John O'Keefe being in the cold. If that's believed, and if the defense could hammer that home, it's a not guilty. And I know that Hank Brennan came in knowing that that was number one. It had to be explained. Hence, the multiple experts and bringing in the top-notch expert on computer forensics. And she showed it today. In my opinion, she showed her expertise and her knowledge, terminology, and she brought it for the Commonwealth.